this point, I think parents have a very important part to play. And because they are the primary caregivers, and they know their children best, well, at least they're supposed to know their children best from very early on in childhood, right? So what do you think parents can do to address this issue, even before it crops up, perhaps what we in public health would call primary prevention? What do you think parents can do in this area?
One of the key things is actually, I think would be good, is to check our own anxiety levels. Because like I said, that's anxiety is something I deal with. And sometimes, even my husband reminds me, Penny, is that your personal anxiety that's kind of, or reflecting your personal anxieties, or is it our son's anxieties? So I think one thing is, yes, being able to set aside time to, kind of work on ourselves, take care of ourselves, because, as the old saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. But I think because the giant parent guilt, it's always trying to take care of them first, right? Like sometimes I have to remind people that come in as well. Remember, even on the planes, they say take care of yourself first before you put the oxygen mask on your children. So I think that would be the first thing, to take care of themselves, because when they are cared for, parents are cared for ourselves, then we are in a better position to actually spot some of the signs and symptoms. The other thing is always to just keep talking to your children, because one of the things that studies have also shown that even if the child is struggling, but if the child is willing and able to tell you about it, that itself is a major factor. Because, I'm not keeping it in, I'm not worrying, I'm not building it up inside of me. I actually have an outlet. And that would be the other thing. And it doesn't have to be not every conversation has to be a deep and meaningful one. Even if it's just talking about school or playing a game together, because that's how children kind of really communicate, is through games. And through then, then sometimes some of the things come out when they're talking to parents. One of the things we have at home here is what my son terms chitty chatty time. And so before bed, they try to get, mommy, it's chitty chatty time. But then I have two. So we have to roster the both of them, one and then the other. And even just stealing little bits of time, like walking my son to wait for the school bus that comes. We kind of use all those little periods of time, the transition time, to try and establish a connection, right? Because quite often we are so ready to just go, but then just putting the pause a bit. And I think, so those would be the key things. And then for parents, what we usually ask parents who are concerned, right? The two things we say is, look for things that are new behaviors. So new behaviors like, anger, thought, words that they use as well. So if you notice a change in the tone of the voice, the words they use, their overall emotional health that you can observe, the observable parts. And then also observe for kids if there are areas where things that they may have been interested before, like activities they're interested in, but they suddenly stop being interested in those, so we try to encourage parents, just look for changes in diet, for example, sleep patterns, so these were things to just kind of be mindful of. And then if they notice that, okay, it's starting to have an impact in terms of relationship at home, school performance and such, then maybe it might be time for them to, go and speak to someone about it and raise their concerns.
It sounds like it would be very important for parents to, number one, maintain a good line of communication with the children, and number two, having a very good relationship with them, whereby they can just be bonded with them through various activities or even non-activities, but just being there for them and understanding the children well, so that the moment they find any difference in behavior and interest, they might actually perhaps be alerted. Am I right to say that?
Yes. Yeah. Because it's the same thing where if, let's say, kids go for, psychotherapy or any kind of support, there needs to be engagement. Right. So that's where the thing we always encourage parents is, we know you're anxious about them, you're worried, you're probably even frustrated. But the more we display these big emotions, younger children in particular, and even youth, they then get overwhelmed with the emotions, and then they decide to clam up. Right, they clam up, they can't talk to us anymore, and then we get shut off from what's happening inside. So yes, definitely the engagement and just spending time with each other, because quite often we get parents that say, I don't know, I'll go find out. I was like, how do they sleep? I'm not sure. The helper puts them to bed, let me go home and find out. And I don't it's not their fault, it's just kind of the way life is sometimes. So it's just that I guess it's when there are signs and symptoms that need to pull the brakes, and then we might need to pause everything and start paying a bit more attention.